Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Mayapur Sashi Jaya, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Mayapur Sashi. Yeah.
Purushottam Das Thakur. It says in the CC, if you remember the name of Purushottam Das Thakur, you will achieve all success.
Yeah.
Purushottam Das Thakur. Oh,
Well, we'll do that on the parents now. Shall I'll find it and you can read at the end of the class?
yeah, okay, yeah, okay. There's a site out for Sankhan books that wants to give quotes, to inspire them. So the one using this month is always look like the last person you met gave you £1 million. And the one before that was the first person you have to engage in simultaneously yourself. So we should have probably been on video.
Yeah.
Beautifully dressed. Spring. I couldn't control myself. I had to dance with the sun. So this is Vrindavan in 1974. Srila Prabhupada was meditating on constructing his Krishna Balaram Mandir. In April of 72, he asked his disciple Hans Keelman, now Surabi, who had drawn the plans for the Bombay Center to execute Indian Renaissance architecture. Prabhupada liked the Govindaji temple. The original Govindaji temple Prabhupada was followed. He liked its open courtyard, surrounded by many arches and its front steps leading up to the deity, Darshan. He suggested that some features of the temple be incorporated into his temple. Surabi, with the assistance of the Vrindavan architect, executed his plans and Prabhupada approved. This is for the it's very beautiful, isn't it, Krishna Balaram? There's a courtyard and there's lots of arches. This will be the grandest temple in Vrindavan. Many high-class gentlemen in Delhi who are also devoted to a relish the chance to live with us on weekends will be for them, just like Vaikuntha. You must construct something wonderful, otherwise it will be a discredit to you, American boys. That will insult the position of America and India. Thus, the Vrindavan project is one of the most important devices in this time. The American boys. And one of the main characters was the Muslim people.
Okay.
No, Maharaj. And they had a lot of friends. Srila Prabhupada, please.
Yeah.
I did find it for this.
Oh, yeah. Right. So this is reading from about Srila Purushottam. Srila Purushottam Das Thakur was raised in the service of the local people of Krishna. Krishna Lady was down on the Kauru boyfriends, Krishna Balaram, he was the 10th Gopal. He was the son of Shiva Kaviraj and grandson of Kamsari Sena. Only Krishna was Shiva Kaviraj was Chandravari Gopi, and Kamsari Sena was Ratnavari Gopi. Purushottam Das Thakur's son was Kanvatapa. It is said that just after Kanvatapa's birth, his mother died. When he was about 12 years old, Sri Nityananda Prabhu took him to his home in Kadadaha. When he was 5 years old, he went to Vrindavan with Chandrima, and upon seeing the ecstatic scenes of Kanvatapa, the Goswamis gave him the name Kanvatapa. Purushottam Das Thakur sometimes lived in Sukha Sagara. All the deities installed by Purushottam Das Thakur were formerly situated in Bala Danga Grama. But when the temple was destroyed, the deities were brought to Sukha Sagara. When that temple was in the bed of the Ganges, the deities were brought with Chandramata's deity to Saha Badanga Bedigram. Since that place has also been destroyed, the deity is now situated in the village named Chandu Degrama. So it was in this place, just in the name there. Shri Purushottam Das Thakur ki.
Yeah.
He said it was the 10th Gopal. What does that mean?
It means there was 10 Gopals, and he was the 10th one. There's probably more actually. See, although Chaitanya is associates for all gopis on the majorities, and all Chaitanya associates for all Sankhiras and all Kauravas. So there are the two main rasis that are there in Chaitanya, Sankhiras and Radhanaviras. And soon about Salviras as well, because soon Sarva Chaitanya was there. Instead of sun or in some way inferior, so they would take authority out of the
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, entitled King Meets the Lord. So we did pretty well, didn't we? You only took a week. So text 28.
29.
Tata
Tata
Katipayo Via
Katipayobhir
Tata Katipayo Hovia
Tata Katipayobhir
Vijayeda
Vidyayeda
Mano
Mano
Gati
Gati
Vijayeda Mano Gati
Vidyayeda Manogati
Jagama
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 Deva
Deva
Devasya
Devasya
Jagama Deva Devasya
Jagama Deva Devasya
Shishasya
Sesasya
Charanantikam
Charanantikam
Shishasya Charanantikam
Sesasya Charanantikam
Takati Payo Bhuvya
Tathakati Payo Bhubhir
Vijaye Manogati
Vidyayeda Manogati
Jagama Deva Devasya
Jagama Deva Devasya
Shishasya Charanantikam
Sesasya Charanantikam
Takati Paya Bhuvya
Tathakati Payo Bhubhir Vidyayeda Manogati Tathagata Devasya Sesasya Charanantikam Tathakati Payo Bhir Vidyayeda Manogati Jagama Deva Devasya Sesasya Charanantikam
Tathagati Payohobi
Payo Bhir
Vidyayeda Manogati
Vidyayeda Manogati
Gamadeva Devasya
Jagama Deva Devasya
Shishasya Charanantikam
Sesasya Charanantikam Tata thereafter Katipaya Bhir
Within a few days, Vijaya,
by the spiritual mantra,
by the spiritual mantra,
Vidamanagati,
Vidamanagati,
because of his mind being enlightened.
because
of his mind being enlightened.
What's that saying? Vidamanagati. Jagama,
Dama,
Devasya,
Devasya,
all the master of all of the world of the universe.
Master of all the world,
Shishasya,
Shishasya,
Lord Shishasya,
Charanantikam
the shelter of the lotus
the shelter of the lotus feet.
and some sound issues, sorry.
Translation. Thereafter, within a very few days, by the influence of the mantra that Chitraketu practiced, his mind became increasingly enlightened in spiritual purpose, and he attained shelter at the lotus feet of Anantadev. Thereafter, within a very few days,
Thereafter, within a very few days,
by the influence of the mantra
by the influence of the mantra
that Chitraketu had practiced,
that Chitraketu had practiced,
his mind became increasingly enlightened
his mind became increasingly enlightened
in spiritual purpose,
in spiritual progress,
and he attained shelter
and he attained shelter
at the lotus feet of Anantadev.
at the lotus feet of Anantadev.
So that's interesting because on Thursdays I've got to do a Japa Sangha and I always got to think of something to say. So it's interesting. Okay, we'll keep talking about that. But
Yeah.
a devotee's ultimate achievement is to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in any one of the planets in the spiritual sky. As a result of the rich execution of devotional service, a devotee receives all material opulences if these are required. Otherwise, the devotee is not interested in material opulences, nor does the Supreme Lord reward them. When the devotee is actually engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, his apparently material opulences are not material, they are all spiritual. For example, if a devotee spends money to construct a beautiful and costly temple, the construction is not material, but spiritual. In the Vanda Krishna Sambhava Yuktam Vairagam Uchyate. A devotee's mind is never translated to the material side of the temple. The bricks, stone, and wood used in the construction of the temple are spiritual, just as the deity, although made of stone, is not stone, but the Supreme Personality of God himself. The more one advances in spiritual consciousness, the more one can understand the elements of devotional service. Nothing in devotional service is material. Everything is spiritual. Consequently, a devotee is awarded so-called material opulence for spiritual advancement. This opulence is an aid to help the devotee advance toward the spiritual kingdom. Thus Maharaj Chitraketu remained in material opulence as a Vijayadharapati, master of the Vijayadharas. And by executing devotional service, he became perfect within a very few days and returned home back to Vata, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sheshananta. A karmic material opulence and a devotee's material opulence are not on the same level. Srimad Acharya comments in this way: Anyataya Vishnu Upashanya Sami Pada Bhava Yogya Kaya Tajya Padamba Pranipayanara. By worshipping Lord Vishnu, one can get whatever he desires directly. Lord devotee never asks Lord Vishnu for any material benefit. Instead, he serves Lord Vishnu without material desires. He was therefore ultimately transferred to the spiritual kingdom. In this regard, Srila Veera Raghava Acharya comments, Yateshtika Diya Yatha. By worshiping Vishnu, a devotee can get whatever he likes. Maharaj Chitraketu wanted only to return on Bhakti Radha, and therefore he achieved success in that way. Om Ajnana Tagalala Shaganandana Shalakaya Shakshamitam Yaya Tasman Shigravema Shri Chaitanya Vastam Stapitam Yaya Bhutale Swarupa Dhamma Vidati Swavadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhaktichananda Shri Bhaktivedanta Shivasani Gaurabhaktavita Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So when we were in Wales, David Rees-Marsh gave a class, and he said, you have to be careful in Krishna consciousness because you may have a ticket, or you may get caught in the sales. What's that thing called? When you get your thing reduced in the shop.
Discounts.
Yeah. Off duty. And you can get caught there and you end up buying loads of perfumes and all kinds of things. And you go out to get the plane and you realize you've missed the plane. So when you're practicing devotional service, you also gain privy and access to a lot of the opulences and facilities. And if you become distracted by that, then you will go back to Godhead. You'll miss the plane. You'll miss the flower airplane. And then you'll have to come back. When you come back, you have to leave all your off sales, without duty, goods behind and come back somewhere else. So, not a good idea. So, Maharaj Chitraketu, he achieved perfection by chanting the mantra. So, what I thought was interesting about that is when you're chanting the mantra, it's not by your endeavor that the mantra works or it doesn't work. It's like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, if you become conscious of me. But what he's really saying is, if I decide to allow you to become conscious of me. And in the same way, when you're chanting mantra, if Krishna allows, then you achieve success in chanting the mantra. And if you don't, you won't. So you can try very, very hard. Krishna will reciprocate, of course, with the endeavor. But the real success formula is that we're begging Krishna for the mercy to achieve success, and then Krishna is pleased to award the mercy, and we don't feel that it's by our own endeavor, by our own strength, or by our own steam that we can do it. Srila Prabhupada compared it to trying to lift yourself up by the bootlaces. Bootlaces, you probably like anything to do, but you're not going to lift yourself up. Not that you're hanging over an iron bar. But otherwise, you can always chance. So in the same way, we're chanting, and we haven't got much chance. We're very heavily compromised by the material energy, heavily conditioned, and the mind is telling us the odds are stacked against you. That's usually what the mind tells you when you're chanting. You're not going to be able to get into this. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not actually going to be able to be a devotee. Certainly not a pure devotee. One that you just give up and it's impossible. It's impossible. That's the mind. So that's, if you're wondering what the mind is, that's what that is. That's what it sounds like when you chant japa. And And at that point, you can decide, okay, I need Krishna's help. Please help me. And you're begging Krishna, you're chanting, and you're begging Krishna, please help me. Please give me the ability to remember. A lot of the time when we're chanting, we're forgetful. We forget what we're doing. We forget what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be just hearing the mantra. And as we're chanting, we forget. We forget that we're supposed to be doing it. You can forget that easily. So we're begging Krishna to help remind us. And there's a nice Sanskrit phrase here, Ida Managati, the cause of his mind being the mind. So mana is the mind, Gati is like an achievement, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Speed also.
what's
This.
this? Gati, the cause of his mind being the mind. So, his mind became increasingly enlightened in social progress. So the Bhagavatam says that the devotee's ultimate achievement is to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in any one of the planets in the spiritual sky. As a result of reaching execution of the devotee's service, the devotee receives all the current offices if these are required. So it's interesting that we've just been reading about the construction of the temple, the Krishna Bhagavatam temple, and then again here at the same point.
Yes, in the book.
Interesting. You can construct a beautiful costly temple. And it is, if you go around the temples in Vrindavan, the Krishna Balaram Mandir is really quite outstanding. Its architecture, all marble, the deities are stunningly beautiful, and the deities are very present. The deities are worshipped nicely, and the deities are very alive, very effulgent on the altar. So, and Srila Bhagavatam said this will be good, good for the reputation of ISKCON, because there's so many people from India come. And if you go into ISKCON Vrindavan Live, you're seeing this every day. The temple is jam-packed. People coming in from all over to see the deities. So, obviously, Srila Prabhupada already knew that that's what was going to happen, and so he made that arrangement. It'd be nice to have a nice, beautiful white marble temple built here in Scotland, purpose-built. Maybe not an open courtyard, or at least if it was, that'd have a perspex stone over it with heaters in. But it's interesting in Krishna consciousness because sometimes we forget that Krishna is God. I do anyway. And it's kind of a relief to know that although things seem impossible, all I have to do is pray and beg for the blessing. And for Krishna, anything is possible, anything at all. Krishna doesn't even have to try, he just has to think, and it becomes a real reality. It's effortless for Krishna. So we just have to get that merciful glance of Lord Nityananda, and within his glance, then anything becomes possible. And there's a beautiful song where it refers to Lord Nityananda will fulfill all your desires if he just sees once in your eyes a tear on your Koragak Goranga. He'll give all facility, it says. He will bestow all facility. So there's two aspects to Krishna consciousness. One is that it's impossibly difficult, and the other is it's amazingly easy. And so we're kind of trying to navigate across this territory, which at one minute seems unsurpassable, and the next minute we're sliding along without a care in the world. So if we can always remember that when things do seem very easy, it's because the Lord is helping us. When things seem very difficult, we just need to beg the Lord to help us again. And Satchidananda Swami says, when you're chanting, maybe you can't see Krishna, but just be satisfied that you're in the eye of God. Which is nice. Maybe looking at the deity and thinking, I can't see that you're Krishna, but the deity can see you. You can see who you really are in the spiritual world. You can see the day that you fell, and you can see the day that you go back. You can see everything. So it's nice to remember and meditate on that when we're looking at the deities. So it seemed very easy for King Chitraketu to do this, and that's what Krishna is saying. But the big question is, will you become conscious of Krishna? If you do, then there's no obstacles around. And if you don't, then you'll be lost. No Shoshisi, Vinanshisi. No hearing, no Shoshisi, then Vinanshisi. It actually sounds like quite a scary word. It must be Vinanshisi. Maybe to jump in front of an old lady in Tesco and go, Vinanshisi. Probably scary.
What's the translation?
Vinanshisi. You will be lost. And Nishoshisi, if you don't hear, then bye. But isn't it interesting that your ability to hear is up to Krishna? You see, it's up to me. I'll hear then Hare Krishna. Okay. Did you hear it? If you heard it, if you heard Hare Krishna, then you see Hare Krishna. You see Radha Krishna. There's a nice story actually in one of Shiva Rama's books, Krishna Sangati. And they're walking along there. They've finally been reunited, being separated for so long, Radha and Krishna. And they're both in so much bliss to be back together again. And they're walking along. And Shiva Radharani says, who's that over there? And Krishna says, oh, that's such and such a Muni. He's been meditating on me for 10,000 years. And she goes, oh, wow, how amazing. And then Krishna suddenly disappears from his meditation. And the yogi opens his eyes and he sees Radha and Krishna. And he realizes his chief perfection. And then his body melts. He goes up onto a chariot. His body melts into a river. And Radha says, what's happening? And she says, and Krishna says, because he had pure love for me, his body is now turned into a river of praying. And that will flow down the mountain of Rohita. So the great yogi went back on a flower aeroplane to Vaikuntha, and his body turned into a river that flowed down the mountain of Rohita. So it's up to Krishna. Krishna can certainly just break your meditation and step in, but how long do we have to wait? Will it be 10,000 years? Will it be 7 days? Will it be 7 years? Will it be 7 lifetimes? It's up to Krishna. We'd like it to be immediately, and it can be immediately, but only if Krishna wants it to be immediately. Otherwise, we may have to just wait. You may wait all our life, and on our last breath, we say, Krishna, and we see Krishna now. But we'd like it to happen before that, because if it happened before that, then we'd be very inspired to share that with others. It would be very powerful. So for that reason, we're begging Lord Nityananda, please, let me see Krishna now. So that I can do so much service with this body, you know? And I can touch so many other living entities with Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And so we may strike a bargain with Lord Nityananda. You give me Krishna Dasa, and I'll give everything to help spread Krishna consciousness. But you have to keep your side of the deal if you do see Krishna. Any questions or comments? So the devotee is not interested in material opulence, and his mind is never diverted. So you may sometimes see a devotee is diverted, or see sometimes a person is interested in Krishna consciousness, and then suddenly a little windfall falls into their lap, and they're no longer interested in Krishna consciousness, because the main reason they took the Krishna consciousness was because they were in distress. So if you remove the distress, then you remove the reason for being into Krishna. Well, the whole, they feel that that's it now. It's I've succeeded, you know. I took up this process to become relieved from distress. Now I've just won 200 million, or someone has won £200 million in my family on the lottery. And they've handed me 10 million. So see you in a couple of lifetimes, if you're lucky. So we have to shift as quickly as possible. Our main reason for taking up Krishna consciousness may be because we're in distress. We may still be in distress. So in that sense, we're so safe. As soon as our distress goes up, we may decide we want to be a film star, or a footballer, or a singer, so many things. And you may go off and pursue those desires. So that's the challenge. Can you come to Krishna in distress, have your distress relieved, and then move on from that to wanting Krishna because you're in search of the absolute truth? So the opulence is also to aid the devotee to advance toward the spiritual kingdom. So how does opulence aid a devotee in his advancement towards the spiritual kingdom? Oh, sorry, do you have a question?
So, how does material opulence aid a devotee to advance to the spiritual kingdom? Is it? In a way, I think, don't know much about the higher planets, but in this, if someone is materially a bit opulent, well off, then he doesn't have to worry about the daily necessities of life and the daily struggle and those ways, and he can be rest assured a bit more peaceful in mind and carry on practicing Krishna consciousness. In that sense,
And also, it will attract other people. You know, if somebody sees this smelly, disheveled individual who looks very confused and disturbed, take a Krishna consciousness, and he's wearing nice clothes, he's eating nice food, he's living in a comfortable situation, his health is good, his teeth are white, his breath smells fine, he's not got blackheads on the end of his nose, and they start thinking, this Krishna consciousness is really good. I think I always like it better than you. So it should also be that the devotee becomes very attractive. You know? He's experiencing subhada, auspiciousness coming into his life. In klesha, he's feeling the disturbances going away, you know, more and more.
I was going to answer your question with the same thing.
About the opulence.
Yeah. When we receive opulence, then we become more attractive to other people, so then that attracts them to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
And actually that helps our spiritual life. The more people that we can share Krishna consciousness with, the more Krishna is pleased with us. So we're more likely to get attention.
It should actually be that when you, and you can try this sometime if you want, and see, but you have these different film stars and pop stars, and they have a charisma. So when they come into the room, the whole room lights up, and everyone is just drawn magnetically toward them for some reason. And because of that, they get so many fans, and then they get into so many films, and so many songs, and people are just kind of fascinated and intrigued by them. You know? So a devotee is the same, actually. When a devotee, if you try chanting 64 rounds, if you can do it before you do Sankirtan, or 32 rounds, and then go out and do Sankirtan, and you see how attractive you become, people are drawn towards you. Like normally when you're saying, excuse me to somebody, you're running up the street trying to stop them. But when you chant one around, you say, excuse me, and the person from over the other side comes over to you because he's fascinated by you. There's something about you, there's a glow about you that they're attracted to. And what you have is what they're looking for. You see, everybody is looking for Krishna consciousness, but they don't realize that's what they're looking for. And we may realize that what we're looking for is Krishna consciousness, but then Maya may make us forget that again. When we first come to Krishna, we realize, wow, this is what I've been looking for, you know. And then later on we think, was it really what I was looking for? Maybe I was confused. So that's Maya. I just been listening this morning to Prabhupada giving class in Bhagavatam, and he's saying that when you take a Krishna consciousness, you start a battle with Maya. He said, but if you're Krishna conscious, she cannot enter, that is not her jurisdiction. So it's interesting that Maya is so impossible to overcome, but she has no jurisdiction over one in the Krishna consciousness. So actually, we go to make sure we're always in Krishna consciousness. So it's praying, or it's chanting, or it's serving, obtaining our talents and abilities with Krishna. and then Maya can't directly hit us. That's why Michael was asking us to sleep and stop chanting, break the principles, because when you do that, you allow yourself to become open, and then she can get clean. As long as you're doing all those things, she may rock the boat. Like one time Srimad said that by performing the research, you can free from the influence of the modes of material nature, but they're still there, just like you can free from the contact of the sea when you're in a boat, but the sea can still rock the boat, but the sea can't directly hit you anymore. It can only make you seasick. But you stay on the boat. But some people, when they're on the boat, they get so seasick, they actually jump off the boat. Because they think, I can't take this turning from anymore, I'm just going to jump into the sea. So they're not seasick anymore, because they drown. That's what they get free from the seasickness. They just jump off the boat. But actually, that's not really going to be the solution. So in Krishna consciousness time, when maybe getting knocked around by the material energy, but just hang on. And you'll be so glad you did hang on, because at some point the storm will stop. And you imagine what it must feel like if you jumped off, and then 5 minutes later the storm stops, and you see the boat going off on the horizon, and you're just dead in the water. And you're stuck, you gotta wait until the next chance you can get on board. So just hang on. You never regret hanging on. Any other questions or comments?
So what do you think of it? We read in the Srimad Bhagavatam different pastimes. Like in this case, it was just a very few days that Chitriketi Maharaj gained the darshan with Sankishan, Lord Sankishan. Then, was there something like kind of special about what he was doing? It's very inspiring in one sense to hear that these jivas get darshan of Krishna, but we've been practicing for more than a couple of days. I personally haven't had darshan, so I have to kind of assimilate this into my life.
Well, we know that Maharaj Chitriketi must have done more than just 7 days from previous lives. Which Swami explains like that. 2 people can get a book on the street. One person reads it and he dances all the way back home. Another person reads it and it doesn't connect at all. So according to your Sukriti from your past lives, determines whether it's going to take 7 days, 7 years, and 7 lifetimes. And this can do a correlation. The Srila Prabhupada is assuring us that it can just be one lifetime, even if you've never done any Krishna consciousness before. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Coming off the street, next life you're going to be a walrus, and this is going to be your last lifetime. All you have to do is every day, 16 rounds, 4 eggs, and help spread Krishna consciousness, and you are guaranteed 100% you will go back this lifetime. So for some people that would be easy, and for some people it won't be so easy. Just like on the ship, some people are on the ship and they're fine, they're having a bag of peanuts and they're reading their practice out there and they're having a laugh. And some people are greedy and they think they're going to die. But everyone on the ship's going back if they don't jump off. So for some people, the journey may be unpleasant, and they may start off unpleasant, and then later on, they'll say, "Where's the peanuts?" Some peanuts as well, they're okay, They go through that sickness, and they come out, and then they're fine. But if it is very unpleasant, then we can know that we must have been very sinful in this life and in past lives, and therefore we're now having to suffer the reactions for those sinful activities. But actually, if we increase the intensity of our practice of Krishna consciousness, then we reduce the time it's going to take. And in this regard, a story from Dhira Shanti Prabhu, which Jananda Prabhu is going to keep best into tears, so I'll have some tissues ready for this, okay? We'll have to get a mop and a Jananda sit in the puddle. There was a poor little bird in the desert, and it was very sad because it didn't have any feathers. And there was nothing to eat or drink. And another bird was flying past on its way to heaven. And it saw the poor bird and it flew up to heaven. And the angels in heaven were stroking this nice bird. And the bird said, "There's only one who's really troubling me. There's a poor little bird in the desert." And the angel said, "Yeah, I know that bird. It's very, very sinful. He's going to have to stay like that for 7 years before things are going to brighten up for him. And the bed said, "Oh, well, that's terrible. Is there anything I can say to encourage him?" So the angel bird said, "Yeah, tell him when you go back down to say, thank God for everything." So the bird flew back down and saw the poor bird in the desert. And he said, "I've just been up to heaven and I saw an angel and he said, every day, all the time, say, thank God for everything." So then the bird flew back up to heaven and told the angel that he'd done that. And then he flew back. And first of all, he couldn't recognize where the desert was. And then he noticed that bird had grown back all its feathers. And a beautiful oasis of water appeared. And flowers and trees and grass had all started growing on, and it was just like paradise. So then the bird flew back again and he said, "I thought you said it was going to suffer like that for 7 years." And the angel said, because he was saying thank God for everything, those 7 years dissolved into 7 days. So if you can, despite all the difficulties you're going through, if you can maintain an appreciative and grateful attitude, you're always thankful and thinking, I should be suffering a lot worse than I am. And Krishna is very kindly reduced it. How kind Krishna is. Then you will dissolve that 7 years, or 70 years, whatever it is, into a much shorter time. So the challenge is, can you always thank God for everything? Good story, right? 64 stories in Deva Shanta's book. A lot of them are about how to see problems in a positive way. Like the little caterpillar that was trying to come out to Christmas, and the man could see it struggle, it was there for hours, and he thought, I'll give it a hand, So he cut open the Christmas. But what came out was a little scrawny. Christmas is like a cast, like a cast, when the caterpillars go into a cast, and they break out of it. And it was a little scrawny, and it never was able to fly. And the man realized he'd been trying to be kind by reducing its suffering, but that was part of the process for it to grow its wings, because the wings have to be strong. If they're going to be strong, it has to push hard against something. And then eventually, after hours and hours and hours, when it finally breaks out, it's got like really powerful wings. So if we can maintain a confident attitude. See, a lot of it is confidence. It's like if you can give a class with confidence, if you can sing with confidence, if you can approach a person with confidence, if you can peel a potato with confidence, it's actually the confidence that's really attractive. That's what attracts people. And we have to accumulate that confidence and be very confident that this is for my own good. This is a really good situation today, and Krishna's doing it for me, to help me. And then we're like, yeah, okay. And then we become confident. So it's an important attitude to cultivate, confident and grateful. In fact, I guess that's a byproduct of confidence. Is if you're confident, then as a byproduct, you're grateful, because that would undermine your confidence if you were ungrateful. Ungrateful actually has a lot of stuff in it. It packs a lot of stuff. Ungrateful is then you don't really have faith that Krishna's there and he's helping you, and you don't really feel that this is what you deserve. You feel it's unfair, unjust. There's a lot of stuff actually that comes with ungrateful. It means you're not seeing the situation properly. You're not seeing Krishna's hand in it.
Can one be convinced of Krishna consciousness and not be confident? Or
What would that look like? You're convinced. There's one time Srila Prabhupada turned down and he said to his disciples, he said, I'm convinced. Are you convinced? convinced. If you're convinced, then you'll be confident at the time of death. So we're working on it. We're a work in progress. At least we should want to be convinced. We should be convinced that we want to be convinced. At least we can start there. And we can also be confident. See, they said to Srila Prabhupada, how do you feel, Srila Prabhupada, when you chant Hare Krishna? And he said, I feel completely free of fear. So that's what confidence is. That's when you're convinced that Krishna is helping you and nobody can harm you. Srila Prabhupada compared it to a little doggy just having to go at everyone. You know, even dogs that are 10 times the size, they even have to go at an elephant. If it's with its master, the master's on the other end of the lead, the dog is really confident. So when you feel connected to your spiritual master, then you become fearless. And there's a nice book by Rupa Vilas called Without Fear, and Srila Prabhupada. It's on the cover like this.
Mm.
And you can see he's like, no, he's not afraid of anything. He's fully aware that Krishna's.
I was just thinking the word convince, it goes into this, what you say about it, like, it means with victory, calm with, and vince, like to have won victory. So it's like you conquered something, you know.
Well, there's two things you can be in life. One is you can be the victim, and the other is you can be the victor. You can't be both. So if you want to be the victim, you've got to give up being the victim. And if you want to be the victim, then you have to blame somebody else. Because that's what a victim is. He's subject to somebody else's misuse and abuse. So if you're the victim, the payoff is nobody can get on your case. I mean, come on, I'm the victim, you know.
Mm.
But why won't you this one? I'm not. Come on, I'm the victim, you know. What would you expect me to do anything? So that's the payoff. You're not held accountable. If you're the victim, nobody can. You've got free rein to blame everybody else. As soon as somebody wants to point you, hey, no, don't blame me. I'm a victim. No, I don't hear it. No, I'm a victim. So it's a pretty poor payoff. And if you're the victor, then you say, yeah, it was my fault. I'm really sorry. It was my karma. But I'm on Krishna. So the victor gets Krishna, the victim gets rebirth. So the choice is yours, you know. And it's very proactive. If you're the victor, then whatever the situation is, you're going to find a way through this. You'll push your way through this and you'll achieve success. I've just been listening to the celebration, or not so much a celebration, but they were remembering Krishna Maharaj. He left his body the same day, Vasikananda, and someone else, very auspicious day when his great souls departed. And he departed on that day. And the Devotees were saying, he was just, Krishna Maharaj was just amazing. Wherever Prabhupada gave him, he just found a way to do it. There was a big battle going on, a big strike, and the Indians were quite aggressive about it. They wouldn't let any trucks come through. They were just pulling the drivers out and bursting their tires and setting fire to things. The whole thing was like really intense, you know. And Srila Prabhupada was doing this big Pandal program, and they didn't have any books. They were stuck in port. Srila Prabhupada turns around and says to Krishna Maharaj, I want you to get those books. And he hired a truck and one driver, and somehow, nobody knows how he managed it, because they weren't letting anybody in. He managed to get in and drive out with a truck full of books. He brought them to Srila Prabhupada. And it was the same when he bought land. I think the land was in Vrindavan, and it was, you had to write out every serial number of each bill in the transaction. And the biggest bills were 100 rupee notes at that time. And Tam Krishna went a big devotee, and they spent 3 days writing out all the numbers. Then you have to check them and count every bill. That's what. And he came back. And he came back like 1 o'clock in the morning, and some other chunky guy was there, and he let him in, and he ran Shiva was away. He was probably the man that Shiva was. So this is what he was so confident, you know? He was so able to take the initiative, which is the best type of servant. There's one servant that does what he's told. There's another servant that does what's needed before he gets told. And then the best servant is one that he just takes the initiative. He knows well ahead. This is what's going to be needed, you know? And that's the best servant. So that can only come by being very confident and achieving victory. I mean, Krishna consciousness is a series of victories, which is finally crowned by the final victory. It's like you leave your body with the holy name on your lips, and your mind is absorbed in Radharani and Krishna. That's the ultimate victory. And along the way, there's so many. Every day, actually, it's a challenge. Are you going to be victorious today? I mean, I've been recently finding during the pandemic, there's been so many days. When we were painting this temple, it was just overwhelming trying to organize everybody to do all the different things and try and get it done. There's always a deadline in Krishna consciousness, you know? And then at one point I was thinking, it's up to Krishna, you know, Krishna's in control, I'm in control, I can just try. And everything just kind of fell into place. So, and the more that happens, the more confident we start becoming. We start realizing this just seems impossible, but every time so far Krishna stepped in and helped. So there's no reason why I should do it again. You know? And then that's when it starts to become interesting. Krishna consciousness starts becoming interesting when you have this steady confidence in Krishna's help. And you're just looking to see how Krishna will give you an indication of how he's going to help you, you know? But he definitely puts you in a situation you can seem impossible, and then helps you to do it. Jai. Iskam Guru ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanandi.
Haribol. His Grace Adhoksaja Krishna Prabhu ki.
Jai.
No, it's